Director NDMA, when we're looking at adaptation, and you listen to the livestock farmers, you listen to the other farmers across the country talk about how they have been heavily affected by the current situation. Perhaps just give us a sense of really, when it comes to adaptation to the changes within the climate, how can farmers work around that? And because this is not just a one-day thing that can be able to change. How do you adapt? And is that the only solution that we have?
Thank you very much. The issue of adaptation, and at the moment the discussion is about disaster risk management and climate change adaptation.
Okay.
Globally in the agenda in terms of disaster risk management. For us and as a country, we are looking at it proactively in terms of as she has mentioned, the issue of climate change is real and it's affecting the local economy and devastating the livelihoods. So what is happening is that we've been working on programming, proactively looking at risk reduction from the perspective of climate proofing. How do we work and design our programs that it appreciates the risks that are associated with climate change. That informs programming in terms of the annual work plans, in terms of the adaptation initiatives or the innovations that we need to bring forward. Some of the adaptation mechanisms that the communities and the local livelihoods that we are seeing is the diversification of livestock species. We are seeing the cattle keepers adopting more of camels and also the small stock, especially the goats. Those are some of the adaptation mechanisms, but we have programs that are actually promoting the adaptation, some of the adaptation measures. One is climate smart agriculture, that's promoting initiatives to have conservation agriculture integrated in the production of crop production. And this also has the research component, looking at the varieties that are adaptive to this particular, the changing climate situation, climatic conditions. We have species, when you talk of sorghum in the Ukambani region, that's being promoted. You've seen also the green grams that's being promoted. So there are a lot of initiatives. At the same time, the issue of also climate proofing the infrastructure. In the ASALs, we are seeing with the increased frequency of droughts, how do we also have infrastructure that's able to sustain, especially the water and also the adaptive mechanism in terms of the changing context. So one of these is actually the standardization in terms of the projects for water, like water dams. You need to do more than 50 cubic meters for you to sustain like 3 months, considering the high rate of evaporation. So those are some of the adaptive mechanisms. And then solarization of motorized boreholes or water sources to reduce the fuel, the gas emissions. And also now to tap the solar energy that's there in the abundance. So those are some of the initiatives that are working, and communities themselves also are adapting. I've mentioned, like when you look at Kajiado, they have actually moved from the indigenous livestock species to more of highly productive, but then it also has a side effect in terms of high consumers. Because they are heavy feeders. There are some of the animals that probably the species you adapt are heavy feeders. So it needs also the rangeland management, sound rangeland management, and so good husbandry.
They're heavy feeders, but they're more resilient to the drought.
They are resilient, but then they still need good husbandry. Yes, so it needs a lot of extension, a lot of services that goes along with that. So that diversification is critical. Livelihoods diversification is also, we've seen also other communities adopting apiculture as an option. Others are adopting the pastoralists, are adopting poultry. So diversification of livelihoods is also adaptive mechanism that households are doing.